Hi, this is Neil, and in this session today, I'm going to share with you my best strategies and tips for getting to number one and dominating your market for your local bootcamp or fitness training business. I'm going to cover two things specifically. I'm going to walk you through the changes that happened in 2011 that will have a significant impact on the traffic and the clients that you're getting to your bootcamp for 2012. And secondly, I'm going to share with you a very specific model, a model for growing your business online, a step-by-step instruction set, and how it is that you should go about dominating your market and making sure that you become the number one player in your market. So the first thing I want to share with you today is to talk about what's changed in 2011 and how that's going to have a significant impact with you in 2012. Okay, so the first thing you would notice, if the changes that I'm going to share with you today is not an exhaustive list of all the changes, meaning that they are more than what I can share with you. Google's made thousands and thousands of changes last year, and it's absolutely impossible as a fitness instructor to keep up with them. So I'm going to share with you some of the changes that happen that have a quite significant impact on your business. Okay, so the first change that Google made last year was actually quite significant. And you will notice if I go into Google, the Google toolbar, and type in, for example, Chicago Bootcamp, Google will show your particular ad in the search engine. So they'll show your ad, Chicago Bootcamps, reach your weight loss goals in 30 days. Now what's significant is, if you notice, in Google, when it showed your search results or your search listings, previously it had the text Chicago Bootcamp Total Body Makeover Guaranteed, and underneath that they used to have your URL www.shaitanbootcamps.com. So the first significant change they made last year was what we call a URL change. And what they did is they moved the URL from the bottom of your search listing to just underneath the page title of your search listing. Now, why that's significant is, if you don't know, Google does a lot of testing on their own. And what they found is that people that have a good URL description or a good name, people tend to click on that more than sites with URLs that don't have an effective name or something that's related to what people are searching. So that's a small little tweak. If you're looking to open up a new bootcamp or new URL, what I strongly suggest you do is make sure that you have a good URL, because that URL is a strong indication of whether someone's going to click and come over to your website. So that was a major significant change that they did last year. Also, the next change was the meta change description. If you notice, for your particular website, you will have a description. Okay, so Chi-Town Bootcamp Total Body Makeover Guaranteed. And you will notice that the description before someone clicks in to your site and come over is usually, what happened was Google had 3 lines of description. So you could go ahead and describe your site and what it is. Now what Google has done is, instead of making it 3 lines, they made it 2 lines. If you think about it, they're usually between 140 and 160 words that you can probably squeeze into 2 lines of description. And why that is important is, if you think about Twitter and the other sites, is that the shorter descriptions maybe get the most amount of clicks. So what you want to do is take note that you've only got 2 lines now to actually sell your website and to get someone to click over and come in there. And it's important that when you do that, you have your best description of what it is that people are going to get when they're going to come over to your website. So they've made 2 fundamental changes that I think is going to impact the amount of clicks that you're going to be getting in 2012. Okay, so the next major change that Google is making, or is slowly rolling out, is the ability for people to click over and come to your site. Now, if I go in and type in Toyota Corolla, for example, the first set of results you're going to see are the paid ads in Google. And then you see the organic listings. Now you'll notice something interesting about this. When someone types in Toyota Corolla, the 2012 Toyota Corolla, and immediately you see Google has now put the URL. But look what's happening underneath here. 2011 Toyota Corolla trim and prices, Toyota Corolla 2011 photo gallery. Previously, this extra line of text was not there. Okay, and now what Google is doing is they're now adding display links. We call this simple term display links. They're adding more information about your site. So what people can do is when they see your search or your site coming up, they can just click in and go directly to your site. Now, why this is important is if you have a site that has more content and more information and more links shown, chances are people will naturally click on that versus a site that's only got the URL and 2 listings. Now, from an SEO perspective, how do you actually get this? This is actually quite difficult to get. But you'll notice that an authority site, a site that has a lot of content, a lot of links, and are structured properly, will end up getting more and more of the display links. And we believe in 2012, sites that have good SEO and are good search candidates and pretty much who've taken the time to make these sites good with good content will probably get more and more display links. And it's important because the more real estate space you get, the much higher chances you get of people clicking through and coming to your website and trying to grab traffic. So that's an important distinction in the way Google is making changes. Now, the third big change that happened in 2011 was this called the Google Panda update. Now, if you don't know what the Google Panda update is, you can quickly search that and see that. But essentially what Google is saying is that they are giving more favor or they're giving better results to sites that have more content on their website. So if you have 2 sites, for example, one site that has 20 pages and one site that has 10 pages, the site that has more content is going to get better search results and listings. Secondly, what they're saying is that sites that have poor quality content, and we'll talk a little bit about this just now, site that has duplicate content or not enough related content for what people are searching for, they're going to deem that to be a lower quality site, and as a result, your search rankings will definitely be affected. So 2011 was a big year for Panda, and so people went ahead and you'll notice that a lot of sites dropped their rankings from Google. So this is something you definitely want to pay attention of in 2012. Now, part of the Panda update, one impact of the Panda update was high quality content. You'll notice that when Google pushed through this Panda update, a lot of sites were impacted. So for example, one of those sites that was impacted was JCPenney. Now, if you go and read this article from the New York Times, The Dirty Little Secrets of Search, you will find that JCPenney all of a sudden was ranking for a whole ton of keywords and making millions of dollars, by ranking for these keywords. So what they went and did is essentially JCPenney went out and they actually bought links from different sites. And here's Matt Cutts, a Google engineer, said, that was totally not acceptable in terms of Google's rankings algorithm and the way they worked. As a result of that, what happened is that by violating Google's guidelines, according to Matt Cutts, they believe that JCPenney violated Google's guidelines, and as a result of that, they dropped their websites. So sites that they were ranking very high for automatically lost their rankings. So part of this update that happened last year was not only small sites were affected, some very large sites like JCPenney was impacted in this. And all Google is saying is that you need to have good quality links to your site. You're not supposed to be buying the links. And then thirdly, you need to have content that users are going to want, and you need to have a lot of content on your site. Now, a lot of people will look at this Panda update and get information from people who really don't understand it, or SEO experts who don't really understand it. So one thing I want to encourage you to do is actually go ahead and read the Google Panda patent. Okay, so if you type in early Google Panda patent, you'll have individuals that are actually written about this, and what they will show you the kind of things you need to take into account in actually making sure that your sites dominate and get the most amount of traffic. Okay, now as part of the Panda update, Google tried to explain the difference between unique and duplicate content. Again, this is quite significant if you want to rank and drive a ton of traffic to your website and be number one in your marketplace. So So before we go into this, I just want to explain basically how Google shows you results. And this is quite important because if you understand this one little concept, you'll get the right information and you'll be able to take advantage of this in the marketplace. So let's take in a quick example. Let's just say your blog is in Chicago and you're writing a piece on how to come and work out at my Chicago boot camp. So what Google does is they will decide if someone types out Chicago boot camp in Google, what Google does is it goes and finds the most relevant page on the internet for that particular keyword or search term. So what Google does is they look at the snippet. Now the snippet is basically, they will look at all the different websites that have that particular keyword called Chicago Bootcamp, and they'll go look at that information on that page. Okay, and they call that a snippet. Not to get technical, all the snippet is a whole bunch of information Google will pull out for that particular search query. Now, depending on the most relevant page, what Google will do is Google will index that page and show those pages or list those pages in the Google search index for you. Okay, so if multiple sites have the keyword Chicago Bootcamp, Google will decide which is the best page. Now the problem arises is if multiple sites have the exact same content for that keyword, Google will only choose the best page that it thinks it's relevant, depending on the snippet, the author, and a whole lot of other variables. Okay, it won't show your page. But now, here's the problem. If someone types in Chicago Fitness, for example, and your page is duplicate and is the same as someone else's page, and Google shows the other page, what Google does is every time your page has duplicate content, has the very same content as someone else's page on the internet, it makes a note of that. Okay, so if you have too many pages that are duplicate content, meaning the same content over and over that other people have, and it deems other people's content relevant, Google's going to make a note, and eventually they're going to drop your website from the search engine rankings. So a big thing of how Google works is that if you have duplicate content means your page is showing up, and if people are searching for the same page everywhere else on the internet. So for example, you take an article and you put it on your website and you go and put the same exact article on 100 different other websites out there, Google will deem your content to be duplicate content, and over time your blog will fall. Now this is quite important because if you think about it, as a fitness trainer or a personal trainer, if you're looking to rank on the internet and if your web page is not showing up all the time, that definitely means you're not going to get traffic, and ultimately you're going to get very few to no customers. So it's very important that you have unique content on your website, and the content that you have is not the same as content in everyone else's web pages. Now the other thing you want to be careful of is duplicate content within the website itself. So if you have your website, you do not want to write an article on Chicago Bootcamp and write 10 articles in Chicago Bootcamp where all the articles are almost similar. Okay, so all the articles have the exact same content, because if Google goes in and see that every article only has the header changed or maybe a paragraph change, and you have hundreds of the same articles, it will consider your site having duplicate content. And again, that's also bad, because over time Google makes a note of that, and eventually they will say your site contains too much of duplicate content and drop your site. So if you're having a problem with your site showing up, your site previously used to show up, and you now have problems with the site, this is a big thing that Google's looking for. Okay, so one thing we want to share with you is that these changes last year, the duplicate versus unique content, is a big part of that change that's going to impact you in 2012. Okay, from a content perspective, if you go directly to the Google blog, okay, what Google is also saying, so this article was written around November of 2011. Okay, if you want to rank and if you want to get a lot more traffic, bottom line is you got to have more content and fresh content relating to your site. Okay, so Google's completed the caffeine indexing system last year, which allows them to crawl and index fresh content on a quick scale. And what they're saying is, if you're in a niche where people are looking for fresh content every day, you got to give them fresh content. Now, if you think about the fitness business, Maybe it's not practical to put fresh content every single day, but if you think about it, you need to at least have 4 or 5 pieces of unique content every single day if you want to completely dominate and take action, because Google's really asking for this, and in a way favoring sites with good unique quality content. Okay, so what does this whole panda and content madness mean to you? So just to summarize it, so that we can take advantage of this in 2012 and be ahead of the curve, is that your site content really matters. Putting unique content that your customers want is critical. If you syndicating content, meaning if you're putting content on multiple different websites, then make sure each website on the internet has completely unique content. One way to do this, a good tool to use, is Copyscape. It's called www.copyscape.com. And why Copyscape is important is that if you write a piece of content, I'm just going to type this in, copyscape.com. If you write a piece of content, and if you go and Copyscape it, Copyscape will tell you whether it's 100% unique, 95% unique, or what percentage unique. So you want 95 to 100% unique content, okay? The third thing you want to do is avoid spinning content. Now, you'll hear a lot of gurus talking about, if you want to get a lot of links back, take the content, rewrite it 5 times, spin it, and send it out. That's good, but unless that content is 100% unique, you're totally wasting your time. Just avoid that to stay out of trouble. And then lastly, I call it the Google stupidity tax. Just making sure you have unique, high-quality content literally posted on every single day will really get you to the top of Google rankings and get you a ton of traffic in the short term. Now, my favorite question that I get from a lot of clients of mine is, how much of content? Okay, how much of content? How often do I need to put content? And what content's relevant for me? Now, if you go to a website called HubSpot.com, they're a huge company online that does SEO, website, and they collect a lot of research data. Now, HubSpot did this awesome research, and then they looked at lead generation lessons from over 4,000 businesses. So there's kind of a informal little research they did with their own businesses and companies that they work with, and then they answered this question on how much content. And what HubSpot actually said that sites with 400 to 1,000 pages generate 6 times more leads than a site with 51 to 100 page. So it's actually beginning to show you the amount of traffic versus the amount of content you actually have. Now here I'm going to give you a ninja technique. If you're really struggling to write content and don't have the time to write content and finding it difficult to write content, here's what I would strongly suggest you do. Sign up for a tool called copytalk.com. What Copytalk is, it's an online transcription service. Okay, so what you do is you get a telephone number with Copytalk, and inside that you go in and you can actually talk through a 4-minute article. So they have different subscription type services. So for $79.95 a month, you can talk unlimited articles. So let me give you an example. Let's just say you've only got 10 minutes and you need to create a piece of content for the day. You dial your phone number, you go in, you dictate your article, and then within a few hours, Copytalk will send you that transcription directly to your email box. Now, what's really good about this is that you have human transcribers doing the work for you. This is not some automated piece of software. So all you do is you take the email that you got back which will be basically whatever you dictated to Copytalk. So you're just talking live and you talk about an article on fitness and how to lose weight, etc. They send it back to you, and then you just edit it and put that on your blog. So literally, if you have 10 minutes a day, you can have unique, high-quality content written for your blog or written for someone else by using this effective and ninja tool called Copytalk. This tool has really helped me personally in just generating high-quality content. If you use that, no one's going to be able to catch up with you. Okay, now another change that Google made in 2011, which is not SEO but PPC, and this change I think is going to have a huge impact on SEO, and I'll tell you how that happens in a minute. So right now, let's just say you love kittens, okay, and you go in and you type in adopt a kitten today or adopt a kitten. what Google does is that it shows the SEO results, the natural search listings, and then it also had paid ads on the right-hand side of Google. Now, the paid ads is usually called pay-per-click marketing campaigns that businesses run, and you can run that quite easily. Now, what Google is doing, or what they're trying to do, is instead of showing these ads on the right-hand side, they're moving these ads to the very bottom of the page. So here's how it works. If someone types in adopt a kitten, you're going to have a few ads on the top, you're going to have SEO ads, and you're going to have pay-per-click ads on the bottom. And you'll notice that the pay-per-click ads on the right-hand side is going away. Now, why that's important or why it's significant? From an SEO perspective, obviously the ads from a PPC that are shown on the top of the page are going to get clicks. Then the SEO ads are going to get clicks. Now, think about this. If you look at the first 3 or 4 sites on SEO previously, used to compete with these paid ads, because if you had an SEO ad and you had 3 or 4 paid ads on the right hand side, some traffic would go to the SEO ads and some traffic would go to the paid ads. By removing the paid ads, what do you think is going to happen now? More traffic is going to be taken over by the SEO listings. Because these ads are showing at the very bottom of the page, the SEO listings now are going to get more clicks and more traffic coming over to them. It's only natural. The higher you are above the fold, the more traffic you're going to get. And why this is important is that, more and more people are going to be competing for organic SEO rankings rather than using paid ads, especially if your paid ads are going to be in the bottom of the page. I believe this is going to be a huge impact in the coming year with regards to Google PPC. Now, Google's recently launched a beta, and this is a beta program. So, for example, I want to show you this is an effective technique for list building. So let's just go into Google and type in marketing with Aweber. You'll notice something very interesting happening here, and Google's starting to roll this and do this. So if you'll notice this ad, Aweber email marketing, okay, you'll notice a subscriber, instead of clicking and coming over to your website, now can put the email address and subscribe to your newsletter directly from the search index. Okay, so no longer does a user need to click over and go to your website. This is going to be an effective ninja tool for list building. Just imagine putting up pay-per-click ads and someone putting their name and email and subscribing, and you can contact them immediately without them even going over to your website. So if you haven't been using pay-per-click, and as soon as Google rolls this out to all the companies, I think this is going to be an effective, one of the best tools and most effective tools for building a list and continuing to market for your fitness business in the coming year. So keep an eye out for that, and that will be rolled out pretty soon. Okay, so the next big impact that happened last year, even though it's not a Panda or a content update, is speed and website speed. Look, a lot of us have websites that are just too slow that takes forever to upload, and people get frustrated when they go in and they type a keyword and they click on your website, and your website takes forever to show up because you got too many ads or it's not structured properly. Now, Google has categorically stated that if your site is slow, it's going to affect your rankings. You're going to drop down in the search engine and the search rankings. So I strongly suggest, if you have a website, what you should do is use a free Google tool that tests the page speed for you. So if you go to https://developers.google.com/page speed, you put in your URL of your website, www.shytownbootcamps.com, and hit the enter button here. Google will give you a full report of how fast your site is and what changes you need to make them faster. So this is an important tool, and this is, as far as I'm concerned, one of the most important ranking factors so that you can get ranked and you do not lose your ranking. And this is quite a critical thing for you to do for your fitness business. Now, a big thing that's happening, and you're going to see this more and more, is what we call the integration of social search. If you just go in and type in Chicago Bootcamp, you will see two little icons in the very top here. Okay, you'll see a little man and kind of like a world type of icon. So what Google is doing is, if you click on this, it's showing you personalized search. So if someone types in Google Bootcamp and they click on this, not only are they showing local results, Google is going to show Google Plus results. Google's come up. Google Plus is a big thing, and what they're saying is, Google effectively wants to promote its own social network. Let's be frank. And what they're saying is that not only are they going to show natural search results, but if you go out, if you subscribe to Twitter, Facebook, certain personal searches you automatically follow, Google's going to show that up in the Google search listing. So what that means is that a lot of social sites are going to be showing up, and you definitely want to pay attention to social search. Okay, if you haven't done so, I think it makes sense for you to open up a Google Plus profile in the current year. Something that's not Google specific related, but I think will have a huge impact in 2012 is the Obama campaign. As you know, the election is going to be a big event this year. Now, it doesn't matter whether you're Republican or Democrat in far as your beliefs are. What's important is that Obama is going to be running his campaign, and right now, months before the campaign is starting, Obama's put a team together of the biggest and best social media minds, statisticians, mathematicians, programmers. He's put the best minds together to help him win this election. And then the thing is called the Will St. Clair Code. And for those of you who don't know what that is, basically Will St. Clair is a gentleman that's running his online search marketing campaign and using Google and social search to help him win the campaign. And they have this idea, or this thing called micro listening. And what's fascinating about this concept is, I think a lot of businesses are going to go more and more into this once they reveal how this was done once the election is over. And if you think about it, they're putting social marketing, they're putting online marketing on steroids, and this is something fundamentally new and amazing. And what micro listening is, so basically what they're trying to do is they're trying to analyze data from Facebook, from Google, from everywhere, and they want to find out more information about a particular person. So they split information about people to see, hey, does this person support Obama? Okay, and if the person support Obama, what they're trying to do is they're trying to figure out is whether this person has a job or not. Because if he supports Obama and has a job, then what they would do is they would ask this person to make a contribution to the campaign. $5, $10, whatever the contribution is, to do that. Now, also what they're trying to do is to say is, does this person support Obama? And if he doesn't have a job, the worst thing you can do is probably ask that person for a campaign contribution. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to identify people with different attributes, whether you have a job, whether you support Obama, whether you're a big influencer or not. And individually they're going in and they're actually typing and leaving messages for this particular person. And they call this idea micro listening. And what micro listening is, they're really paying attention to the supporters and people that will help them win this election, people that may support them. And instead of blasting out messages in general, they're using tools, technology on a scale that none of us can imagine. Right now they're sitting in Chicago. They have data centers of numbers that they're crunching 24 hours a day. And these software engineers are taking online marketing to a level neither you nor I would ever understand or comprehend. But the thing I want to share with you is, if you're a fitness business owner right now, I think it makes a lot of sense for you to go ahead and open up a Facebook account. And inside your Facebook account, what you should be doing is paying attention to those people that respond to you, those people that like your page, those people that thank you, those people that come back and leave comments or want to know more information about you, and really get to understand the profile of people. Because if you can do that, if you can micro listen effectively, you can respond to them, ask them for referrals, give them information, post pictures of how well they did in their campaigns. So that little concept of really targeting and listening and understanding the people you have will drive a whole lot more traffic. But that's something we'll pay more attention to and see how that can affect us going forward from a marketing perspective. And finally, I cannot give you an update without Facebook. Facebook is about to launch its IPO. It's going to get listed. But what's really important here is that you have two ways in using Facebook to get clients and referrals and growing a community. One is the Facebook pages. I'm not going to talk about that, but Facebook made an important change last year to the Facebook profile. Now, a Facebook profile is where you open up an account and you have friends on that account, and people that will connect with you and you talk to them. Okay, this is very different from the Facebook Pages account, which is your business account. Now, the good thing about Facebook, the profile account, is that most people use the profile account. Let's face it, how many people really go to the business pages account and talk and communicate? They don't do that. They go to the profile account, okay, because that's where all your friends are, your walls there, you can communicate and do effectively. The challenge with the Facebook profile was it was only limited to 5,000 of your friends, okay? You couldn't get more than 5,000 of your friends. So what Facebook very smartly did was they added this thing called subscriptions. Okay, and what subscriptions are is that you can subscribe, people can subscribe to becoming a friend of your page. So now you're not limited to 5,000 people anymore. The list can be unlimited and they can receive your notifications, etc. That is a huge change that's come up because it's just opened the profile page to a whole new level. I think it's going to have a big impact. So the way you want to do this is if you've already got a profile for your fitness business and you want to take advantage of this and get more traffic from a profile perspective, here's what you need to do. You can click on the subscription button, and then you can it'll bring up a few screens and it'll go edit subscription settings. It'll give you a whole lot of settings, and then in here you can turn off whether you want comments, notifications, friends requests, and you hit the OK button, and automatically you'll have the subscriptions turned on. And what Facebook will do is they'll give you a little badge or a little link. You can take that and put that everywhere, and you can get people. You can send an email out to someone to come and subscribe if you've already reached your friend limit. We'll talk a little bit more about this, but I believe that expanding your profile to add more people to your Facebook profile instead of your Facebook pages is something you definitely want to take advantage of in 2012. Okay, that was a quick update in terms of what's changed last year and how that's going to impact your business. Now, the second part of my presentation today is I want to share with you a very specific SEO strategy, some of my very best stuff to help your website to get to number one. Look, it's one thing talking about it, and it's a second thing dominating it. And what I've done is I've created a methodology, a little system. If you're struggling with this, if you think through the system and how we're applying it, it could definitely help you and get you to number one. And the reason I've got this little picture here is I went on safari last year to South Africa, and I was just enamored by the lion. It's an amazing animal. It's the king of the jungle, and once you come face to face with the lion or step near it, you'll understand why. So my goal here is no matter what happens, I want to make you the king of your local market. I want you to be the site that's number one, that's dominate, and when you roar, everyone hears your roar, and you just get to crush it and build a phenomenal business next year. Now, before I move on, I'm going to explain how to get to number one in terms of a formula or a system that I learned from the great Zig Ziglar. For those of you, if you don't know who Zig Ziglar is, Google him up. He's a motivational speaker, a man that's come from abject poverty to literally being one of the best salesmen in the world, a motivational speaker, all around fantastic guy. But more importantly, Zig came up with this methodology. You see, most people are trying to go from being a baby cub, a lion cub, to the Lion King, to the king of the jungle. But you can't do that overnight. It's absolutely impossible to do that, right? Because there's levels of growth involved. So Zig came up with this methodology. It says, okay, in order to go from survival stage is where you're just starting off a business, or your business is new, or you're not getting any leads, or you're just starting and you're struggling and to survive to make money. Okay, so more businesses start off with survival phase, and what they do is they immediately want to go to significance. They immediately want to go to 10,000 customers calling them a day and making $1 million. Now, there's nothing wrong, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with having this goal or ambition of making $10 million or saving the world or building a school in Africa or feeding the homeless person and making a significant impact. However, what Zig said is you just can't go from survival to significance, unless you win the jackpot. You need to go through certain stages, and if you can get through the stages fast, you can get to significance quite quickly. So Zig came up with this model, okay, and he says in order to go from survival to significance and making a big impact in the world, is you need to go from survival to stability. Okay, so you're starting off. Your business is cranking, you're struggling some months, you're not struggling some months. So first thing you want to do is you want to go to stability. Stabilize, get enough cash flow coming in, and you can make some money, and then you can do some things. And the second stage of the model is going from stability to success. Okay, and then finally from success to significance. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to share the steps you need to go from an SEO point of view to go from survival to stability. What does it take to go from survival to stability from an SEO perspective, stability to success from an SEO perspective, and success to significance where you're dominating your market and SEO is bringing you all the leads to change your life and your business? Okay, so in order to go from survival to stability, according to Zig, you need to have a change of habits. Okay, so if you're surviving on a day-to-day basis and you don't know what to do and you're just earning money sporadically, and some months you make the rent, some months you don't make the rent, you've got to change your habits. Okay, so if you think about a baby lion cub, okay, so on my trip to South Africa, when I saw the lion cubs, lion cubs are very playful. They're running around. They're very mischievous. They're kind of like most kids anyway, right? But one thing we know, if you in the jungle, you've got to eat to survive. Okay, and if you watch the lion and the way they poach and the way they attack and the way they eat, there's a very systematic process about that. Lions will get up at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock or before dawn because they're going to use the least amount of energy to actually attack an animal. They're not going to run in the heat, because if they lose energy and they don't kill their prey, they're going to starve to death. Okay, so they have very specific habits during the day. A lion will probably hang out by the nearest watering hole or watering joint, right? Or the nearest lake where animals go to drink water, because they got the best chance of finding their prey. They're not going to run around all over. And if you'll notice this picture here, is that the lion is training the cubs, the lioness here, sorry, is actually training the cubs in a very systematic and an effective way, and building habits into the daily lives and routines. Okay, so here's what we need to do. In order for you to go from an SEO perspective, from survival to stability, just to get enough leads coming in and turning these leads into clients so you can pay the bills every month, okay, the first thing you need for your website, I found, is a content strategy. Okay, if you're starting off, you don't have money for SEO, you don't know what to do, and you're looking for leads to come in, my biggest tip I can share with you is to build content on your website, and build content every single day. Okay, now the best idea I can share with you for content generation strategies from AOL. For those of you who don't know, AOL is America Online. Used to be one of the biggest websites, now taken over by Google, Yahoo, and the others, but they're still a huge site online. They make billions of dollars every year, and they actually leaked out somehow. The content generation strategy got leaked out, and here's what AOL does. Okay, they create day-to-day content, the blocking and tackling stuff. As a fitness professional, FAQs, frequently asked questions your clients ask you for, stuff about weight loss, nutrition, that kind of thing. They create content called big idea type of content. Not that the customers want to see it, the big ideas that a lot of other people want to see as well. Okay, SEO type content, and then influential voices. They may get other people to come in and write for them or share content for them. So if you're having a hard time knowing what type of content and where to get content, I strongly recommend you watch a little webinar that I put together on AOL, where it gets its content from and how you can use that. But at the end of the day, if you want to get from survival to stability, you must have content, because that's the most important thing Google's going to need to send you traffic. Okay, and get in the habit of setting up this habit. Remember, habits are critically important here. Get into the habit of posting content if you can every single day. If you just do that in a period of 4 to 6 months, you will definitely get traffic. If anything else that you do, okay, you get traffic and you'll get some good clients coming over. The second thing I want to share with you, especially from a local business perspective, is that Google is focusing a lot of time on local sites, okay? And we'll go into a little bit of detail in a second. But basically what Google is saying is a lot of people do local searches. So for example, they'll type in Chicago Bootcamp or 60607 Bootcamp or what to do in Lakeview, Illinois. So they'll document a neighborhood. So what Google is saying is when you write or create content, write content about local information, local searches that people have. So this is a good website, usnavigationguide.com. What you can do here is you can actually find out zip codes. Okay, you can map your particular location. Like for example, I have Chicago. I can find out what are the zip codes. So I can write 606034. I'll write that down, write a piece of content about a zip code. Or I'll write content about the particular neighborhood, which is Lakeview, Pilsen, Wrigleyville. You can see you can actually get neighborhood type of information. So what you want to do is you want to make a list of all the local factors. And the local factors are city, state, zip code, and neighborhoods. And that's the kind of content you want to write, because that will drive you a lot of traffic and get you out of survival to stability mode. Okay, so here's how it works. Your starting point is hyperlocal geotargeting, and it's a fancy name of saying the more narrow you get in your city, the better it is. So the first thing you want to do is start off with the keyword. So let's say you run a boot camp. So some of the keywords you'll have is boot camp, weight loss, personal trainer. So what I would do with this is I'll take the word boot camp here and I will add West Loop, because West Loop is my neighborhood in Chicago, right? So I'll have West Loop boot camp. And then what I'll do is I'll write an article about West Loop boot camp, or I may have an article about Lakeview boot camp. I'll have an article about Schaumburg boot camp. So the more neighborhoods you have, the more keywords you have, and the more traffic you will get. And then you repeat that with weight loss and personal trainer. You repeat the same keywords with like West Loop weight loss, West Loop personal trainer. Okay. Once you've got all your locally targeted keywords, excuse me. The next step is to go to city. So I'll use the word Chicago Bootcamp, Chicago Weight Loss, Chicago Personal Trainer. And all I'm trying to do here is build a list of keywords. And then I'll go to my zip code. And then finally I'll go to my state. And then based on this methodology, I'll get hundreds and hundreds of keywords, which I'll write a ton of content for and put that on my website. Okay, I'll use it as the keyword title, write content about that, and then immediately if I get into the habit of writing one piece of content a day, I automatically will start driving traffic. Now, once you get traffic, the next thing, once you've written your content, okay, the next step here is to actually get your content distributed. Because let's face it, putting a piece of content in your blog is the first step. And over time, if you keep doing that, you'll get some traffic, but that's not enough. Okay, what we want to do is we want our content to get found. We want our content to get found online so people can click on it, come back, read it, and take action with us. And again, I'm going to share with you AOL's distribution strategy. So the next thing what AOL do is they take that content and they'll either do some SEO on that content, meaning they will go to different sites and build links to that content so that content rise high in Google. People will click on it and actually find you. They will take that content and share it with social media sites, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Hub Pages, Squidoo, hundreds of social media sites on the internet. They may distribute it to article marketing sites to get links back. They may ask other clients to go ahead and distribute the content for you. So there needs to be a strategy around that. And again, you can go ahead and look at what AOL's done. But if you want a quick tip here, and if you don't have a lot of money and you need to get some traffic coming in, I would strongly suggest writing different pieces of content using copy talk, taking that content, putting it in article directories, putting unique content on social media sites, building links back, and doing this consistently every day, and you will definitely get some traffic in the long run. And if you can, the best thing for you to do would be to outsource some of these traffic building tactics. Another tool you could do is you can go to a place like elance.com, www.elance.com, and you can hire outsourced workers to distribute some of the content for you. On some pattern, maybe they work 4 or 5 hours a month and they at least get something done. Okay, the third thing you want to pay attention when you're going from survival to stability is from an SEO perspective, is you want to look at Google Places. Now, Google Places is becoming quite a big thing because a lot of people are clicking on the Google Places listings and coming to your site. So if I type in Chicago Bootcamp, you'll notice here I have paid ads and then I have Google Places results. You see these little icons where you can claim a Google Places page. ShytownBootcamps.com, that's our site in Chicago that's ranking A on the first spot. Wedding Bootcamp, etc. So you can have different Google Places with different Google Places reviews. Now, why this is important is because these are showing up much, much more in the Google search results, and you're going to get a lot of traffic if you can get it up on the first page here. So I'd strongly suggest focusing on that. Now, there are multiple ranking factors. In order for you to claim your Google Places page and to get it up on website, there's about, I'm going to share with you a site, davidmims.com. David Mims Scott is a guru in Google local places, and basically he shares with you all the different things you need to do to rank your Google Places high. Physical address, manual, verified, proper categories. So you can go to the site and look at it. He's got 79 different types of factors. Actually, there's 100 different ways of ranking your Google Places site very high. But what I want to do with you is share with you one tip on your Google Places site to get it to number one. And the most important thing, and the reason I'm showing you is a dental site here, is because if you think about the dental market, it's very, very, very competitive market. Okay, if you can write a link in the Google Places number one in the dental market, you can use the same technology and tools and use it for your local fitness industry or your fitness niche to get it ranked number one. Okay, now I'm going to show you one technique, one of the hundreds of factors that you need to use to get your site ranked high, but this one weighs very heavily. If you can at least do this, I'm sure you're going to get some results in the short term. I'm going to show you my very best technique of getting your Places page ranked. Now, it's not going to be the only factor that's going to get ranked, but it's one of the most important factors. If you notice here, in the headline of this website, it's got here the name Glenn Burney Dentist, family dentistry, the telephone number. Okay, and if you notice here on the homepage of his website, he's got 118 Crane Highway, Glenn Burney, and he's got his telephone number. And if you notice, the number on the title matches the number on what he's actually written on his website. The thing is called name, address, and phone number. If you're wondering what NAP is, name and address, phone number. When you set up your Google profile, so when you go to Google and set up a Google Local Places Pages account, okay, you want to make sure in the Google Local Places Pages account, your name, address, and phone number is exactly the one you're going to be putting on your website. Because if most people set up a Google Places account with a different name, address, and phone number than the website, Google doesn't recognize it, and the Google Places never, ever, ever rank on the first page of Google. So the biggest tip I want to share with you, because some people, when they open up a Google Places account, will use maybe the telephone number 410, but when they come in here on the website, they'll use a 1-800 number. That's wrong. Don't do that. The second thing is on the title tag of your page, on the title of your very page, put the name of your business, Glenn Burney Dentist. You can see how smart this gentleman is, this dentist is. He's put the name of his business exactly the same that's on his Google Places account. He's put his address on the home page of his website. Okay, it's exactly the same thing as the address on his Google Places account. And finally, he put the phone number and the title of the page exactly as his the same phone number as his website. And you can see here, cosmetic dentist, okay, family dentistry. These are the keywords that he's used in the title of his page. By doing this, okay, by putting the name, address in the title, by putting it on the home page, your Google local places will rank very high. Now, at the very bottom of his website, the other reason why it's ranking is you will see that in here, Glen Burnie dentist, cosmetic dentist, family dentistry are all keywords in the bottom of his homepage. These keywords are the exact same things as the category on this Google Local Places page. Now, when you set up your Google Local Places pages account, Google will ask you what categories do you want. And you'll notice here, he's made those categories exactly the same and he's added some keywords. That tip in itself will save you a lot of time and money and will really help you rank high. Okay, so these are the basic things you need to do. To move from survival to stability, you need to set the strong foundation. Okay, make sure you have a content strategy and make sure you're focusing on geo-targeted keywords and then opening up a Google Local Places account. Now, the next step we want to do is we want to move from survival. So we move from survival to stability. Right now, you may be, after a few months, you may be getting traffic, you may be getting leads, and you're doing pretty well, and you're getting enough clients in and you're paying the bills. So the next step is we want to move from stability to success. So the lion is now, the cub has grown up, and now it can feed and fend for himself. He doesn't rely on its parents or his brothers and sisters to kill and hunt for him. So to move from stability to success, according to Zig Ziglar, you need a change of mindset. There's a few things you need to do that's going to elevate you to the next level. So from an SEO perspective, okay, I know this slide's going to look overwhelming to you. The key thing here is that you need to start thinking about, now that you've got your content down, you need to think about a mini network. And a mini network is, more importantly, a linking strategy. How are you going to build links? How are you going to get traffic? And how are you going to get traffic consistently every single day? And just to give you a high-level overview, this is not 100% what you need to do. Depending on your market, you may need to do more or you may need to do less. But the most key thing to do here is to develop a link strategy. So if you look at the very bottom, let's assume this is your website or your blog. Let's call this your blog, okay? Now that you've got content in there, you need a link strategy because you want to get to number 1, number 2, or number 3 of Google. By doing that, you get traffic consistently every single day if there's searches in your market, okay? What are links? I mean, at the very basic, a link is like a vote. So let's assume for a second that you're voting in an election, right? And the person, theoretically speaking, the person with the most votes wins the election. That's the basic rule. Now, the problem with this is that in an election, you can't vote for more than one person twice, because if you vote for more than one person twice, the person's not going to win. So it counts less if you're voting for someone more than twice. And what this applies to the link principle is that the more links you get from different sources, the more votes you get from different sources, chances are your blog is going to rank high and you're going to end up in number 1, 2, and 3 spot and you're going to totally dominate. Okay. Now, unlike an election where one vote will count, so the next thing you want to do is make sure that you have an effective link strategy to get you ranked. Now, there's different types of link strategies you can apply. You can submit content to press releases, to article directories, to relevant site and authority network. But the key to get to number 1, 2, or 3 position is to make sure that when you're building links, it comes from high authority sites, because the higher the authority the site is, the more weight it carries and the higher your blog would rank. So step 1 in building a mini network is coming up with an effective link strategy. The second piece is, as you know, Facebook and social media sites are huge in the marketplace, and Google is even talking about using some social signals as a ranking factor. So what you want to do is open up a Facebook, maybe a Google Plus account, and then add as many people as possible, and also build links to get your Facebook to rank. Because what you're starting to do now is not only are you getting traditional links, but you're creating a mini network where Facebook, people are hanging out on Facebook and Google Plus anyway, and you sending traffic over from there to your blog. So you're creating a network effect. And thirdly, you can use another tool. For example, YouTube. YouTube gets over 1 billion views a day. And the good thing about YouTube is people like to learn more about your product or service. And who wouldn't want to watch a fitness video on YouTube? So if you can push out videos and you build links to your video, all of a sudden those videos start to rank and you can push traffic back to your blog. So in order to go from stability to success, the key principle here is to build a mini network effect. At this point is you will be doing a lot of link building strategies and using other social network type of tools to drive traffic and push traffic directly to your website. And in order to do that, you need a very specific strategy and laid out plan. Now, let me give you an example. For Chi-Town Bootcamps, as you know, I'm a partner in Chicago, Chi-Town Bootcamps with Sam and Dustin and Craig and Jamie. We're different partners in the business. Now, here's what a stability to success plan looks like. I apologize if you can't see this, but basically, here's what we're doing to move from stability to success. We have a very specific plan. So for example, we have our keyword research done for us. We have a content strategy. We're writing high quality articles and we're placing this on various sites. And then as a result of that, we're consistently getting traffic every week. We're writing press releases and submitting this out. We're using Google Local. We have a very specific strategy. A key thing is list building. We're going in and making sure that whoever comes to our website actually enter the name and email so we can write back content to them, communicate via email, and then hopefully once a month we can make promotions to them and they will sign up for our services. So the reason you're doing all of this is to make sure you're building a strong list to help you grow your business. Now here's the most important piece of the stability to success plan. Irrespective of what you're doing, the most important piece is going to be reporting. So once a week, we get back daily reports for all the work. I have how many press releases have we submitted, how many articles have we submitted, how many links have we built. And as a result of that, what I see every week is the number of keywords ranking, the videos that are ranking, and our Google Local places that are ranking. As a result of doing all of this, I get a weekly report back to see whether we're number 1, 2, or 3, and how much of traffic we're getting to our website, and how many leads we're getting as a result of that. Now, I do not want to go into this in any more detail. If you want a detailed plan, please feel free to contact me or watch the webinar that we put together on creating the stability to success plan and the individual pieces for each one of them. The final component of stability to success is to make sure you have a conversion strategy. One of the biggest frustrations that I see for my clients, or I hear from my clients, is that they're ranking number 1, 2, or 3, they're getting traffic, but no one is taking action and coming over to the boot camps. Unfortunately, to make that happen, you need to make sure that you're doing everything in your power so that people will click and come over to your bootcamp. Now, one way of doing that is using a tool called Crazy Egg. Okay, so if you go to www.crazyegg.com and you enter, I think this tool costs $9 a month, and if you install this on your blog, it gives you kind of a heat map, and it shows you where people are looking on your website, where people are leaving your website. It'll give you a better understanding of your users and how they take action. Just putting this one little tool will help you figure out, look, if your customers are spending a lot of time looking at things above the fold, you definitely want to put your telephone name, your contact information, and a strong call to action to get you more results. Now, this is a tool that you can use, but I also want to share with you some basic tips. A lot of sites that I look at don't have the basic information for people to call them. So your website is probably ranking, but when someone comes over, you don't have your telephone number in there, you don't have an email box, and you're not giving them something to connect with you. Now, for example, if you give away a free ebook or a free video, you need to give them a very, very compelling reason so that they take action with you. Having this basic information or these basic steps is the key to converting higher and getting more traffic. So if you want to go from stability to success, the key is to convert more and more of your customers. And by adding some of these tools in, you'll get a better understanding, or you'll get the leg up in beating your competition and making sure that you receive success. Now, finally, to go from success to significance requires a change of heart. And at this point, in order to do that, you're going to need coaching, you're probably going to be needing some outsourcing, and you're probably going to be a higher level of thinking than the tools and technology. And that's where you get a coach like Sam, or you subscribe to the 7-Figure blog, or Super Trainer, or 7figuresam.com, and you use the tools and techniques and information to really help you dominate and become the king of the jungle. So I hope you enjoyed today's session to help you dominate and be number one. And if you just take some of these tools that I've shared with you or imparted with you, you're definitely going to be successful. There's absolutely no doubt about it. But if you can move it from doing to putting it into a sequence and formula, and using the stability to significance formula, you will definitely going to do well. And in keeping with this theme about lions, I just want to share with you one quote. Every morning in Africa, a gazelle wakes up. It knows it must run faster than the fastest lion or it will be killed. Every morning a lion wakes up. It knows it must outrun the slowest gazelle or it will starve to death. It doesn't matter whether you're a lion or gazelle. When the sun comes up, you better be running. And my quote for you is, are you hustling every day to make your business a success, and are you dominating? Thanks.